Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. In this week's video, we are going to look at expanding our knowledge on creating acid lines, and we're going to sort of look at some different variations on acid lines using the TB303. We're not going to program on it. If you want to see someone program it, yeah, this isn't the one. We're going to use MIDI to send to the 303, and the patterns that we're going to make today sound like this. So let's get into it. So first up, I've got a little demo of a acid line, and this one I would kind of say that it's would be more of the focal point, and it's kind of more telling the story. You would write this one and then have, well, I would write this one and then have other elements around it to kind of reinforce it, rather than just having more of a 3 or 4 note sort of thing. So this is the acid line that I wrote earlier. And if we sort of, it's very expressive, so when you sort of start to tweak the dials and everything on the 303, and I really like that. It's like, it's a little bit more interesting than just having 3 notes through the whole thing. So some tips on making this, and if you want, this is the MIDI. You can see I've muted out some of these notes here. It's nothing too crazy, and let's get into how I created it. So again, using a similar technique to what I showed you in the last one, where we're going to start off with just a bunch of individual notes. So let's expand this, and what we're going to be doing is we're going to look for the rhythm rather than the actual notes. So I'm going to come along and I'm going to glue some notes together, maybe mute some notes, and then from there we can start to push and pull and see how we go. So let's join these ones, join these, let's mute this one out, mute this one out, and let's mute these. So let's play that now. And let's bring it down 1 octave. So we're kind of more in that bass range, and we'll open up the cutoff filter so you can hear a little bit better. And that's pretty good right there. But obviously we want this to be sort of walking up and down the scale. So what we're going to do is we'll do a little cheat, and we're going to go to functions, MIDI transfer, and random pitch. And I know Ableton has a random, so you could use the same sort of technique in that. So let's just go random pitch. And then we're going to go from C1 to C5. And C1 is the last note that we can play. And then C5 is, it could go higher, but it's not very good. So let's select, we'll go select and operate. Let's actually just select it just to make sure. Select and operate, and then that's half decent already. So we can go through a couple more. I like the first one better, so we'll go back to that. We can get rid of this, and we'll bring this up so we can see all of our notes. We got this one up here, so let's just bring this down. And it is kind of all over the place. So let's select all the notes and we'll just go into the G major scale. We've already selected major there. We got G, so quantize, and then I like this. And now this is where we can start to fine tune some of it. So I like this here, but I want it to come from an octave up. So let's bring this over. Maybe this one up one. Maybe have this slide down. Maybe bring this note back in. I like that, but not there. Maybe here. Maybe bring that down. No, I don't like that one. Wonder if I can slide that there. No, I don't think that's working. So you can see we kind of go from the rhythm to the notes and then we fine tune it from there. One thing again, same thing I showed you on the last video, is if we bring this out to one more bar and we can start to push it along. So it's a little bit too hectic there. And you can hear just moving it over one, you get a total different feel. Maybe one more. That's pretty good. So now you can just cut that, glue that together, and there's our new pattern. And there you go. So this one is more of a focal point of the line, and it's kind of filling the space of maybe the melodic element and the bass element at the same time. So next up we have a slightly different line. This one would be used maybe for just a bass line, but it is still the main section of the song. So this is I guess in the acid world it is a little bit more known, but I'm not going to say who it is, but I'll give you a listen and we can look at some ways that we can create something similar to that. So here's the line. So there we go. I love that track. I love the vocal. I love everything about it. So let's try and use some of those techniques in there to create something of our own. So the one thing that I really love about it is the descending bass line. So let's create a MIDI region and let's just do 2 bars. We can loop around that and then let's look into it. So we can start around here. And again, we're just going to go with the single notes to get us going sort of thing. So we're going to do this first bar here as the main section, and then this might be a turnaround. We'll see how we go. So let's start gluing some of these notes together so we can kind of get a rough pattern going. And we're going to just copy the first section over. Oop, not mute it, we want to glue them. And that, and then this one. And maybe we do 3 and we leave that one. So let's look at this. And we can bring these down. So let's make that a single. And make that maybe and let's make that 2, and then we can make this a single here. And we'll sort of match this pattern as well. And then let's start to look at some of these where we can do a little turnaround and then maybe mute some of these to kind of give it a little bit of breathing room as it goes around. So let's maybe mute this one as well. And maybe unmute that one. And we could even slide into that. Now, I like the more staccato feel of it. And we're going to do a little slide up to those, and then we could even make this one a velocity. So it's going to give us more accent. We could even look at some of these notes, maybe taking away a few more. I like this one. Oh, don't want that. We want to unmute. One thing we could do is, I just kind of got an idea, is we could kind of glue this and then it's kind of like this sort of jaggedy and then and we can make it so the notes don't overlap, so we get the full note each time. So a different play on it, and it's sort of pushing more further away from that original idea. So we're kind of creating something a little bit more original, but still borrowing the sort of the sensibilities of it. Next up, we have more of a sort of slower bass line that would be used underneath the track, where you could have a vocal and you could have other elements going on top. So let's take this down to 119 and get this grooving. hear there? It's like just that repeating motif over and over. And the way that it's written is we have this line. So let's create a MIDI region. And you can see in this one, we have this line here and here and here that crosses over that. So then it kind of, it's like it, this is providing the note, this note, to then start that same pattern again. So what we can do is we'll loop that and bring it up here. So we're going to start here and got it there, and we're going to just put in our notes and that, just so we've got all of them ready to go. So now we need the note to slide down to. So we can pretty much just grab all of these and then maybe go it's a bit low. Yeah, we'll go with that, and we'll make these 3 beats. And what we can also do is we're going to add one more over here, but we'll just make it so the note will kind of follow over. So and let's look at this. That's better. So we've got that loop going around. We got the pitch down each time. So this is where we could start to look at adding some more. So we could add one in here to kind of give us that turnaround. Bring that one over one. We could add another one in here and just make sure that these are all not touching. When they start to get a little bit close, that's when you'll get the slide between them. So and what we could do is just look at maybe adding some random parts here. So, and we can add another one. Let's slide it over. And see this one, even though they're not touching, it's a little bit too close to the line, so that's why we get that rollover. So there you go, nice sort of smooth sort of bass line. Using that sort of same repeating pattern, but then just changing it up a little bit, and then obviously having the turnaround. I would kind of look at making this first bar, making that 3 bars, and then having this turnaround at the end of the 4th bar to kind of not have that turnaround happen so often. So next up we have more of a driving acid line, and this would be used in techno. Again, this is a borrowed line, so we're going to crank it up to 132, and we can also add in a little bit of effect. So I've got a pedal board here, and we got this little distortion. We turn this on. You can already hear the noise in the background. And this is that sort of more old school acid sort of pattern. And then we can add some reverb and delay. So to make this pattern, let's take the effects off for now. This is kind of using more of that old school pattern where we just have that repeating thing over and over throughout the track. So let's look at that. We're going to create a MIDI region. And then for this one, we're not going to go with all the notes as we did before. We're just going to kind of look for that more sporadic pattern. So, and let's go with this. Let's go with the F here. Let's take them down in velocity. So I think that is already working there. So I mean, if we put the effects on there, now that sounds good, but obviously we want a little bit more movement in there. So let's go like this and then make this one 2 beats. So and maybe have this one down here. No. And maybe we'll just have another one here. Maybe changing this to a slide up. So then we sort of keeping the notes very minimal with it. And then let's change these all to accent notes. Let's look what other effects we have. And maybe this one. I kind of like it without the distortion. It's obviously a little bit loud. So you can hear there, by using a lot less notes but still utilizing that slide and utilizing the accent, we can kind of get more variation between them. And then lastly, let's look at a pattern that I've used before, but I really like how it sounds and how it sort of works on the 303. So let's pull that down, envelope mode full, decay to nothing, and then we're going to cross over to the sawtooth. And we can increase that just a little bit in volume. And this is with no effects on there at the moment. There's a pedal board on, but there's no effects on there. So you can hear this is like a very driving bass line that works really well on the 303. You get that real bubbly acid sound. So again, how can we look at creating one of these? So let's create a MIDI region, and we'll do one bar for this one. And again, let's bring it down. And then we've got our notes here. So now let's go 4 beats, and then we can start to look at having one of these. Let's bring those down. And then we're going to start to look at just moving the notes around and see what kind of works. We can I find that not sort of straying too far from that sort of root note is where you can get some good results. So it kind of sounds a little Blade Runner. Let's go this, and then maybe up 1 octave. maybe look at pushing one of the notes, or I kind of liked when that did the slide, so maybe if we bring this all the way to the edge. Ooh. So just having this note push all the way to the end, it kind of gives a little overlap, and then we'll get it to play also the slide down on that first note. So that's about it. We've gone through a bunch of different acid lines for the 303, and acid lines in general. It doesn't have to be on the 303. You can just use a single oscillator synth with a little bit of slide and some effects and stuff like that. And at the end of the day, hopefully this has inspired you to create some acid or create something, anything. And until next time, see you later.